The second day of the baseball season has come and gone now. There was a few games that were kind of later on at the night that I didn't really get a chance to catch. I had some other stuff that was going on. But for the majority, I feel like today had a lot of news. I feel like today had a lot of just stuff going on in the sport. Obviously, some of the first few games this today was really fun to watch. Was able to catch the Blue Jays game, of course. I have a lot to talk about for the Blue Jays. The Braves had played a really good game for their first game earlier today as well. The Marlins, Owen Casey played really well today. We kind of started off before we get into anything like that. Early this morning, I think it was like honestly relatively after I woke up this morning. News had broke that Shane Baz for the Baltimore Orioles signed a 5-year, $68 million deal, and my initial reaction was, man, that's a lot. That's are you willing to commit 5 years to somebody like Shane Baz, who has been injury riddled in the past? We haven't really seen like the full version that I feel like had been talked about in the past with Shane Baz. Like, he was a prospect for the Pirates, he was a bit of a prospect for the Rays. I feel like never really hit that ceiling with Tampa Bay. It seemed like he was doing good and then he would get hurt, and then like just, a lot of setbacks and stuff. Ended up signing with the Baltimore Orioles in the offseason, or I forget if he was a sign or if he was traded to the Orioles, one or the other. Yeah, I mean, maybe they see something in him. I still think there is a good little pitcher in somebody like Shane Baz. I know that there was a lot of like graphics. I seen like conversations where last season, if you look at his advanced stats with Tampa Bay, he had a good year. If you kind of look at his advanced stats, he was kind of screwed over by Steinbrenner Field, which, I mean, everybody in Tampa Bay was kind of screwed over with that, especially pitchers. We know how well Tampa Bay is with developing pitchers, though. So Shane Baz comes from an organization that probably, like, he probably leaves Tampa Bay knowing the most about himself compared to really any other organization, I would say. I mean, I know Cleveland, LA is always up there as far as like developing pitchers, knowing how to get the most out of them. But in my opinion, Tampa Bay is like number one. I feel like for years now, they're always like number one when it comes to developing the best pitchers, bringing the most out of them. I love the way that they run stuff like that. So Shane Baz takes everything that he learns from Tampa Bay to Baltimore. A more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark, of course, compared to Steinbrenner Field, and he gets inked a 5-year, $68 million contract. I like that for him. That's going to set himself up for the next 5 seasons. I really like it for the Orioles, too, because I feel like for the last few years we've been talking about, the Orioles, they're knocking on the door. Last year they had a bad year, but they're knocking on the door. The offense is there. They made some good signings in the offseason. Pitcher wise and everything was always kind of a question mark, especially the starting rotation. With Kyle Bradish missing last year, Tyler Wells, they got rid of John Means the last few years too. So they've lost a lot of guys over the last few years, and I feel like they haven't really been able to capitalize on being a full healthy rotation all at once. Hopefully this is kind of the season that happens, because I really want to see this Orioles team and kind of see what they have, and I kind of want to see like guys like Gunnar and Adley and Jordan Westberg and some of the new guys that they brought in. I'm really hype on Dylan Beavers. I think Dylan Beavers is going to be a great player. A full season of Samuel Basallo. Like they have a lot of guys. I mean, Pete Alonso. I liked the Orioles offseason. I'm excited to see what they can do over a full season. I really like Shane Baz as a pitcher. He's not going to be looked at as like a top end of the rotation guy, but he can kind of settle himself in as like a 3-4 in that rotation. And I mean, he's going to be locked up for the next 5 years. Bullpen is a little bit questionable when it comes to Baltimore. The bullpen's going to be questionable. Felix Bautista, man, like 2 years ago, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now, Felix Bautista may have been one of the nastiest relievers in all of baseball, if not the nastiest. And it really sucks that he has been hurt over the last year and a half now, 2 years, because when he is healthy, man, there's no one better than him. In my opinion, when he was at his peak, he was the best reliever in all of baseball. And then they also had like Yanier Cano, who was falling off since then. Trevor Rogers looks really good in the rotation. So I know there's a lot of Orioles talk to kind of kick off the episode, but I don't know. They're kind of a fun, interesting team. They're a team that I'm going to really, really watch for this year, because everything that happened last season, conversations with Adley last year, them spending some money in the offseason, bringing in somebody like Pete Alonso, not spending the money on rotation, but kind of like trusting their guys with like Shane Baz, obviously this contract, trusting Trevor Rodgers to do what he did in the second half last year. That is still a crazy story, and we'll probably talk about that some other time. But the Orioles link their guy. They get Shane Baz for 5 years, 68 million to kind of kick off the day. Later in the day, I ended up watching the Blue Jays game, and man, oh man, for the first game of the season, this just felt like a classic baseball game to me. It just felt like it was kind of like a grit and grind type of game. It was a pitcher's duel. Props to Luis Severino, man. I want to get into Kevin Gausman, but props to Luis Severino. His performance should not be diminished whatsoever. He did extremely good for the Athletics. His stuff was moving incredibly well. He had, I know he had a pitch to Nathan Lucas, I believe later in his, I think it was like the fifth or sixth inning. He had a high and in pitch to Nathan Lucas, and the movement on that pitch was unreal. Props to Nathan Lucas for being able to foul that pitch off because it was nuts. If you guys have not seen anything about Luis Severino and his performance, make sure to watch some highlights because he was really, really good today. Like I said, though, on the other side of things, Kevin Gausman, what was it, 11 strikeouts for Kevin Gausman? This was his first opening day start for the Blue Jays, which I find is crazy to think about because he's been there for like 5 years, which is also nuts to think about. It was Jose Barrios for like 3 seasons. We had the Alek Manoah year where he had started on opening day. This is Kevin Gausman's first opening day start, which was nuts. And he delivered, man. Kevin Gausman, when I sit back and kind of think of Kevin Gausman as a pitcher for the Blue Jays and his career, once it is all said and done, I would say over the course of my lifetime being a Blue Jays fan, he is probably my favorite pitcher to watch when he is on. His stuff is incredible. His splitter was splitting today. When his splitter is on, no one can touch it. I saw there was a graphic that it showed, I think last season, including the postseason, I think they hit like 0.68 off his splitter, which is insane. I mean, his splitter is one of the best in baseball, if not the best. And when it is on, when he's not hanging that pitch, you know he's going to be able to cruise 5-6 innings, give you a lot of strikeouts. On top of his fastball, on top of his slider. I mean, Kevin Gausman, like I said, over the course of him being a part of the Blue Jays, over the course of me being a Blue Jays fan, he's got to be number one, I would say, as far as like my favorite pitcher to watch for Toronto when he's on, because like he's been so consistent over the course of the last 5 years with us, and he might have a bad start once in a while, but as far as consistency and knowing what you're going to get out of somebody like Kevin Gausman it's so reliable in the rotation like that. And like I said, man, he is as steady as one can get. Some other guys might be rivaled. Like I loved like Marcus Stroman when he was with us, of course. 2016, Aaron Sanchez, one of my favorite pitchers of all time. You could argue maybe the Robbie Ray season in 2021, Manoah, of course, in 2022. But Kevin Gausman, man, as far as like an extended period of time, has just been one of my favorite pitchers to watch of my entire time being a Blue Jays fan. And he set the tone. I mean, like I said, this game ended in a 3-2 score. So it was just kind of like a grinded out game. The Athletics hit 2 home runs, both by Shea Langoliers, which I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of look at Shea Langoliers as a very underrated player in all of baseball, a very underrated catcher in the sport of baseball. He has been really good for the last few years. And last season, he really improved his defense. I think that like the ABS challenges and stuff this year might help him even more. I just see a really good player in Shea Langoliers. His offense is really good. He's got a lot of power. The defense has been there. I feel like he doesn't get the love. I mean, he had 30 home runs back-to-back years. So the offense is there for somebody like Shea Langoliers. He had 2 home runs today. One off of Kevin Gausman, the other one off of Jeff Hoffman. And man, oh man, if today wasn't kind of like the explanation of the Jeff Hoffman experience is kind of what I tried to label it as for Toronto. The Jeff Hoffman experience was on full display today because in the ninth inning, he comes in for the save with a one-run game, a 2-1 score. Gets a couple strikeouts. Shea Langoliers comes up and hits a solo shot to tie the game. And then after that, I know that they ended up there was a pass ball on a strikeout, so they had reached first base. He got another strikeout. He had a 4 strikeout inning. But on at the same time, he had blown the save. He had given up a solo shot to tie the game, and we had to come back in the bottom of the ninth to try to get the win, which we did, of course. But the Jeff Hoffman experience, this is kind of what happened last year, I feel like, with Jeff Hoffman. He is such a good pitcher, but the numbers aren't always going to show it because he gives up untimely home runs. He gets barreled in like the weirdest, most unfortunate times, but then he can come back and strike out 4 guys in 1 inning. Like, that is really unheard of. There's not many pitchers that have done that in the history of baseball, get 4 strikeouts in 1 inning, because you need to have a pass ball, you need to have an error of some sort, whatever. But yeah, he was able to bounce back. He's got really good stuff. It's just, he's such an interesting pitcher. He's such a weird pitcher. Like I said, the numbers aren't going to always tell the full story. Jeff Hoffman's somebody you got to watch to really know everything about him and kind of what he brings to the Blue Jays. But either way, we got the win. Andres Gimenez had drove in the game-winning run in the bottom of the ninth. So a really fun way to kind of start the season. Kazuma Okamoto with 2 hits in his debut. I was really skeptical on how he was going to look against, especially somebody like Severino, who, like I said, he was on tonight. He had all the movement on his pitches. You know, his velo has been back. They had mentioned how he was able to touch 98. He hasn't been able to do that in a few years. He was more of like, ever since his injury with the Yankees and the first few injuries with the Mets, his velo had dropped quite a bit. He wasn't really hitting 96, 97, 98 anymore. He is back to that. So I'm praising Luis Severino quite a bit here because he looked really, really good today. They had showed his road and home splits from last season. He was incredible on the road, obviously in Sutter Health Park, whatever it's called. They're going to give up a lot of home runs there. So his home splits were not very good. I think he had like over a 6 ERA at home. So I don't know. I think Severino's a really good pitcher. He looked incredible today. Okamoto got 2 hits in the day. Him hitting 7th in this lineup, I think is perfect for him because they had mentioned on the broadcast, I think that Okamoto could be somebody that probably hits like 5th in our lineup, like come the summertime. Or I could also see him maybe being like a 2-hitter in the lineup, depending on the matchup. If it's a favorable pitcher for him, if it's somebody that doesn't throw absolute gas. But honestly, today I felt like his discipline looked really good on the heat, which was obviously like the biggest question mark coming into the season for somebody like him. But I thought he looked good. I thought that he looked kind of similar to like Murakami that I had mentioned yesterday. Kind of just a veteran type of an appearance, which, I mean, the guy's not new to baseball. He's like, what, 27, 28 years old. I mean, he's been around. He's been against former MLB players in the past. He kind of knows what he's getting himself into. But as far as like dipping your feet in the water, I liked what I saw from him today. I like that he's hitting 7th in the lineup because I really look back at like 2025 and think Toronto has done a great job with leveling out the lineup. I love teams that don't stack the front of their order with all their best players, and then the bottom of the order is just free outs for the other team. I like whenever it's kind of leveled out and they're strategic through the entire order. And I think Toronto has done a really good job with that last year and this year already to kind of start the season. I mean, it was the bottom of the order that won the game tonight. So, Ernie Clement being at the bottom of the order, Okamoto being at the bottom of the order, those aren't easy outs. So to get both of those guys on, Ernie Clement with the double, Okamoto with the single, and then Andres Gimenez, all he had to do was just knock one in. So guys like that, man, I like when teams do that. I feel like for a long time there was a lot of free outs at the bottom of the orders. I remember a few years ago with Toronto, it was really, really bad like that. But I don't know. We got the win. Good start for Toronto. Tomorrow we get Dylan Cease on the mound, so I'm excited to see him against the Athletics, of course, which is a very scary lineup. So I'm excited to see him, how he can perform in his debut for Toronto. I had mentioned Owen Casey a little bit earlier today. I'm gonna rock with my Canadian guy. He's gonna be probably my favorite Maryland already, just because he is Canadian. I'm gonna kind of root for him a little bit. He had, I believe, 2 hits in his debut. I should fact check that before I kind of spill any of these lies out to you guys. But I know he had drove in the first run of the game for the Marlins. I think they won the game. Like I said, I should be fact checking this stuff, but I did see that Owen Casey had a couple hits. He did really well in the WBC. He did good in spring training. I think Owen Casey could be a really big time rookie of the year candidate for the NL. I know that this year, I feel like all the rookie talk is talking about Roman Anthony in the AL, and the NL isn't really getting all that love. And I think somebody like Owen Casey could make a strong case. I'm excited to see a full season of him. I'm excited to see the Marlins this year, too. Building off of hopefully a little bit of what they did last year, especially towards the end of the season. And, guys like Kyle Stowers and Owen Casey, of course, and Augustin Ramirez and Jacob Marcy, and kind of see what they can bring. Dane Myers, of course. They got a lot of fun players there, and I'm excited to see a full season from all of those guys. Ozzie Albies had hit the first home run of the season for the Atlanta Braves. The Braves are such a weird team to me this year. I don't know how to gauge them or really expectations for them this year. I really don't know what to think because they had such an injury riddled season last year. Their win loss record was way different than what I think anybody expected last season. A lot of their guys underperformed. A lot of their guys were hurt, and that was just a recipe for disaster for Atlanta. This year, if they want to get things on track, Ozzie Albies is one of those guys that kind of needs to return to form somewhat. He had a bad year last year. I feel like it's been like 2 seasons since Ozzie Albies has really been like even like league average of a type of hitter. So they need somebody like Ozzie Albies to kind of return to form. Matt Olson did his thing last year, but Matt Olson hopefully could be off to a good start. If Acuna can stay healthy, Austin Riley, if he can stay healthy, the pitching is already off to a bad start. I mean, Strider is hurt, Schwellenbach is hurt, Smith Shawver is hurt. They have guys that are injured. Unfortunately, the rotation is a little bit banged up right now, but if they can get some of those guys back and they stay healthy, because last season when those guys came back, it was like they got hurt 2 starts later. So the rotation is a little bit shaky. Obviously, you got Chris Sale. I know Grant Holmes is another reliable arm in the rotation, but with the injuries and then the bullpen kind of having question marks too, and I don't know. The Braves are such a weird team. But if Ozzie's hitting the first home run of the season, Michael Harris also hit a lefty home run today. So good start for the Braves. They looked really good against Cole Ragans, who when Cole Ragans is on is always a really fun, really good pitcher to watch pitch. And him against the Atlanta Braves lineup, they really made him work. So props to the Braves, props to them for getting the first win of the season. Hopefully their offense can kind of bring back of what it was a couple years ago instead of last season, or kind of what we saw as last season's offense was absolutely terrible. And speaking of terrible offenses, oh my good God. The San Francisco Giants are 2 games into the season, and they have been shut out both games. They have not scored a run yet. I know it is the New York Yankees that they're playing, and the Yankees are a good team, but the fact that the San Francisco Giants are 4 for 59, they have 4 hits in the first 2 games, and I believe 1 is an extra base hit, so they have 3 singles. The Giants are another weird team too, man. I really don't know how to think about the Giants. The last few years, they were similar to the Brewers to me as a team that I looked at as a bit of a sleeper. I kind of liked them, especially last year. I mean, they started last year off really good. You guys remember it was like, I think it was like June, and they were like the number 1 wild card spot for a long time. And then they made the trade for Rafael Devers, and it seemed like things went downhill. Even if he played well, it seemed like other things around the team just went downhill. They had a good rotation last year. Their bullpen, they absolutely destroyed. When they traded away guys like Doval, they traded away Tyler Rogers. They weren't able to get him back in the offseason, which I know was kind of like their plan. They weren't able to get Tyler Rogers back. Obviously, Camilo Doval had left them too. So they really don't have much of a bullpen, like whatsoever. They have Ryan Walker in there, who last year was awful. He was so bad. And they have him as their big main inning guy in the bullpen. And I don't know, man. The Giants are a weird team because we can see the offense is not there right now. They have some guys. I know it's obviously only 2 games into the season, but this is not a good start for the Giants whatsoever. I don't know what to look at with the Giants as far as how to gauge them. Are they going to be like another 500 team that they've been over the last few years? Are they going to be worse than that? Is there going to be a point where they might panic and make a trade for more of an offensive piece, or hopefully some more pitching? Because yes, they have Logan Webb. Yes, they have Robbie Ray. But after that, they don't have much. I know they had some young guys, but they had traded some of those guys away to get Rafael Devers last year. And then, I don't know. They're such a weird team. The Giants have been weird for a long time now. And to start the season 4 for 59 is not good. And one of the last things I wanted to talk about real quick is Mike Trout has now 2 home runs to start the season. He is 2 for 2 with 2 home runs to start the year, man. I really want to see another healthy year for Mike Trout. I know he may not have been Trout status last year, but I mean he was still good. I think he made the All-Star game. He was actually, I don't know if he made the All-Star game or not. I know he was leading in votes. I forget if they put him in or not. I know he still had like 20 plus home runs. His OPS plus was still like over 100. He still had a good year as far as like the grand scheme of things. He was able to hit his 400th career home run last year too. And we see another fully healthy season of Mike Trout. I know the Angels are probably not going to be very good this year. I kind of want to see some of the development for some of their other young players. See if Christian Moore can have a full season for them. I know he was in AAA to start the year, but they have a few other guys that are kind of intriguing, kind of interesting to watch. Obviously, Mike Trout, another home run today. So I'm just happy to see Mike Trout hit home runs, man. Like this just takes me back to like 2016, 2017 when he actually was a little bit healthy and he was able to hit home runs pretty much on a daily basis, or he was able to put up these crazy games. So it's cool to see him have 2 home runs to start off the year. But yeah, I mean, this is probably going to call it for this video again, guys. Like I said, I kind of want to make this channel us talking about baseball, conversations in the comments. I'm going to put in the description down below, guys, the link to my Discord. I'm going to make a channel over on my Discord where you guys can submit questions. I kind of want to do like a mailbox type of video where you guys ask me questions. I can answer them, of course. And we just kind of, have some more conversations, man, because baseball has always been my passion. Baseball has always been something I love to talk about. If there's anything I like to talk about in the world, it is baseball. And I'm so excited for this season, and I hope you guys are too. And I hope you guys are welcome to come along this journey, along this ride over here on YouTube, because I am excited.